lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, aka the Werewolf, aka the Beast, aka the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
Thank you for joining us this week, listeners. We sure hope that you enjoyed our little special episode that we did to mark our halfway point through the run of the show. If you haven't heard it yet, we did the kind of Power Records, Peter Pan Records treatment of a Jerry Conway Werewolf by Night prose feature from Marvel Curtis Magazine's Monsters Unleashed issues 6 and 7. And so we did background music, music beds, and even dragged our wives and my child in to play parts in this whole little drama and make this Jerry Conway tale come to life. And we had a great time making it, although it was a lot of work, so we're not going to do that again. But we had a great time making it, and I hope that you enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I did miss our normal Werewolf by Night issue chats, so I'm excited that we're back this week.
Me too. It reminded me of, in a way, of That's Cool, That's Trash, where watching a really bad movie and then making clips and then talking with your good friends about it and then inserting all the clips later where they go. It reminded me of that. It was quite a bit of work. This is fun the way we do this.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything. So that was great. But we're also going to share a little in memoriam clip to kind of reflect back on who we've lost over these the first half of this journey. I was thinking of that poem that people have oftentimes put onto a piece of myrtle wood that's heavily lacquered, and it's about the footsteps in the sand. And I was thinking there's probably a version where it's like, what about when there was just one set of claw prints in the sand? That's when I was eviscerating you or something, So we look back at who has fallen. There's a lot of bad dudes and a couple bad ladies that we lost. So Jack's taking out the trash.
Yeah, so many villain deaths. I'd love to compare stats with other Marvel books at the time, and I swear to God, villains are killed way more in Werewolf by Night than they are in, Spidey or Thor at this point.
Yeah, I'd be curious if anyone's... Well, I'm sure someone's done stats because there's a bizarre amount of stats, like on that Grand Comics database, where there will, just be a thing that says, like, this device, web shooters, like, for instance.
Yeah.
I remember when we did the Marvel Team Up issue, It said, like, items that appear, web shooters, web cartridges. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Somebody does that.
Yeah, someone did that.
So this week, we're going to be talking about Werewolf by Night issue 21. And next week, we're going back into the giant size world, I believe.
Oof.
Of giant size Werewolf by Night #2, nay, giant size chillers, but it's been changed to giant size Werewolf by Night.
Mm-hmm.
And, we weren't big fans of that, so we're going to try and make it fun. This does have everyone's favorite, or many people's favorite universal monster in it, the Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein. I don't want to get into a whole naming thing. Where do you stand on that? That whole kind of classic
I think it's Frankenstein's monster, but I'm not a dick about it.
Yeah, I am.
I knew one of us was going to be, and I assumed that you would be the one. But it is. I mean, obviously, the monster is not called Frankenstein.
There's a third option that is not really in that public debate. There's all this dumb little pop culture debates, like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
I mean, what is your opinion? One's right and one's wrong. Where do you stand?
Of Die Hard being a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It absolutely is a Christmas movie.
Yeah. So there was this backlash recently because people had fun with something, and so people can't stand that. So people were saying, it's not a Christmas movie. And I just said, okay, are you willing to say that Halloween is not a Halloween film? It just happens to be about a guy killing a bunch of people on Halloween? Because that's basically what you're saying, and you sound like a fucking dick if you say that.
How'd that go over?
I don't know. I got some unfollows, but
Nice.
that's not really what's important. No, I don't know. I don't care. Where were we? Oh, so the super secret option here is that ultimately the thing that Victor creates is, in I think a very real metaphorical, if not literal sense, his son. So they are both Frankenstein.
Okay. All right. I mean, I can see that. It's a tiny bit of a stretch, but I guess also not really. I mean, that's true. It's a sun made out of pieces of dead people.
Yeah, Adam was made out of dirt. I mean, what's your point?
Family's where you find it, Matt.
Uh-huh. And you can't pick your family.
No.
Or you can, I don't know. Well, you can't pick your nose. Wait, how does that go?
Oof.
Since we've been talking about Werewolf by Night, Jacob, even before we started this show, it's not just you, but it's other people I've talked to about this. But this issue in particular is the one when I kind of try to explain, like, after all the gothic stuff, after all the moody, blah, 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 things get weird. And that's what I like. And I had a really hard time just kind of rubbing my hands and not telling you about this storyline, because this storyline is probably my favorite one of the post Golden Age.
So this storyline that we're dealing with, or this issue here? Well, basically, this is the finale of the storyline. This is the culmination of the Coker, Lou Hackett, kind of storyline that's been going on. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't think this is spoiling anything, but it's this really does tie up all the loose ends that all of the writers up to this point have left behind.
Yeah, and in my opinion, Moench does it too quickly. I could have taken another few issues of dragging some of what happens here out and having it be a saga, a proper saga.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this issue because I thought it was fucking amazing.
Yeah. And every time I read it, I'm gobsmacked anew by how silly it is and how fun and strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should just jump in. It's so great.
Yes, we should. Before we get started, though, if you want to send us any email and let us know what you think about the storyline or anything else that we do, or ask us any questions, you can email us at werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. If you do, we read it on the show, which is fun. It's kind of fun to bandy that stuff about. We're going to be talking at the end of the episode about a TV show that was suggested by a letter that someone sent in. So by all means, email us and say, hey, we'd love to hear from you. So we have the unfortunate matter of this cover, which for me is one of my top 3 to 5 least favorite Werewolf by Night covers ever. Pull date of September from 74, I believe. And this one it's by Gil Kane with inks by Frank Giacoia.
That's right.
First of all, man, where do I start on this one? Okay, first of all, it's kind of a retread of issue 18's cover. So that's the issue before the Vampires on the Moon, when Coker and Jack the Beast were fighting on the rooftop, and there was either Sandy or no, not Sandy, or I don't know who it is. It's one of the women in Colden House kind of cowering, and then on the rooftop of the building fighting. And
is that the one that Ron Wilson did the pencils on? That's actually a really cool cover.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I like that one a lot. This one is the same. I mean, in a sense, a different angle. Issue 18, you're looking up at this horrific fight happening. Here, you're looking down from a higher building, and you can see the werewolf. He's cowering as bullets are ricocheting off the chimney and the edge of the building. Someone that appears to be the Coker werewolf is behind him, all hunched over, growling. Below, you can see police people kind of cordoning off the area, pointing up towards them and shooting and firing. And the city just kind of sprawling off in the distance and goes darker blue into shadow. The face here, I just like, for one, the way that Kane, I guess, or maybe Frank inked the Beast's face, he looks like Mustafa from Lion's King. It's got a very elongated, feline, like big cat kind of look to it. It just looks weird. Everybody looks weird to me. It's wrong.
Yeah, everyone looks weird. I didn't have as much of a problem as you do with it. I looked at it as a very stylized cover, just obviously not kind of quote unquote accurately depicting, or at least depicting how we're used to Coker and Jack. So yeah, it didn't grate on me, but yeah, you're right. The faces are weird, and Jack's especially looks more feline than lupine.
I guess to me, it looks like a splash page. It should be page 1, not the cover. I've always think that whenever I see it. Like,
yeah, I think it's I like. I mean, I think it's cool. I think there are cool things about it. But yeah, it's underwhelming.
Yeah, I think underwhelming is, yeah, to be fair. So the copy on the cover says, "To cure a werewolf, another must die," which was discovered at the end of issue 20? No, 19. When Coker and Jack were reading through, I don't know, something in the chest of goodies, magic goodies or something, right?
The magical chest.
Oh,
that's
the
right.
book. The Malditos, whatever, cursed somethings.
Yeah, the Book of Curses.
Yeah, so I think I've said all I want to say about the cover. Not my favorite.
No, I'm with you. So yeah, we'll just move on to the first page. We'll go through the credits. Our credits this issue are the same as last, except for Artie Simek is on lettering this time, and thank God. I mean, the words are still kind of slanted, but not to the insane level that they were last issue. That got to me by the end.
Yeah, like an medieval, like a wizard or something.
Yeah, it really got me. But, Simek's lettering's always on point. Mm-hmm. And the guy's a legend, I mean, he lettered FF1 and Amazing Fantasy 15. So, he obviously knows what he's doing. And yeah, that was a welcome relief for me. So this first page has 4 small panels on top of a single large panel. The upper 4 depict Jack's transformation, and the bottom large panel mirrors last issue's cover of the Beast pulling at prison bars. So yeah, this is where that comes from. And we get a little bit of explanation in the narration. It says, as Jack Russell had asked to be imprisoned because as Jack I knew about the moon and what it did to me, how it changed me into a berserk, ravening wolf, a frenzied beast who would never ask to be caged. And so, we realize that it's first night. He transforms. The title of the story is One Wolf's Cure is Another's Poison. And yeah, I like this first page.
I do too. The transformation is not incredibly inspired or anything, but
yeah.
It works. And the big panel at the bottom of him tugging at the bars from inside it's impressive work, and it's got great inking. Colletta turned in, as far as I can tell, some amazing work this issue. I think this might be some of my favorite stuff on his run here. Yeah,
I mean, not only did I not notice his terrible inking on a lot of pages, I was just like, oh my God, that's beautiful. Like, it's so well done.
Yeah, thank God for cocaine or something. He must have got really into this issue.
God, it's so weird. You just never know when he's going to decide to give a shit. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating about it, honestly. I mean, aside from the obvious frustration, one wolf's cure, another's poison. And I love the little death's head for the second O in poison.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is the real deal here. So I read this issue and I found myself wondering, how in the hell did Jack get himself? Did he go to jail? Did he turn himself in, and is he in the drunk tank? Like, how does this work? And then we see on the next page that he's actually in good old Buck Cowan's house, which I thought was weird. And Buck Cowan has one of those bars, like the what do you call those? Is there a special name for that? Like when it's got the big metal brackets and you put the big slab of wood in there to keep the door closed.
See, but I was thinking about this, and Buck is such a good friend that he obviously went to whatever Home Depot was in 1974 and bought all this shit, probably spent all day werewolf proofing this room. He's the guy you want on your side.
Yeah. So once I realized it was Buck Cowan's house, I was like, oh, he's 4 blocks from Venice Beach. Of course you're going to have bars on your window there. You don't want Charles Manson or something. Some guy thinking he's tripping balls, thinking he's a chicken trying to get in your house at 3 a.m. and oh, Callie. Sorry, 1 second.
Callie. She just loves you so much.
She does love me. We spent so much time together since pandemic. So Buck here is dressed like Bruce Banner with a white dress shirt on, short sleeves, and purple pants. I just love that. I don't know why I thought that was so funny. I was wondering, first of all, the narration says Buck Cowan was a writer and my only friend, the one person to whom I can entrust my voluntary incarceration. So, he told Buck, lock me in here, lock me up, and no matter what I say, what you hear, don't let me out. And I thought, that's sweet. They're best buds.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, God, when was the last time we saw Buck? Not saw Buck. Buck.
It was a while ago.
It's been since the Circus of Terror or whatever, right?
Seriously? That long?
No. I know.
The Hangman.
The Hangman story.
Yeah, Hangman story was the last time we saw him in the car.
I guess Jack's life has been kind of a whirlwind since he met Taboo. It just kind of went, he had a quiet day or two in Colden. He went to Mexico.
Well, he had like a quiet 16 hours at Colden House until that night. But
he could have also invited his best friend who knows he's a werewolf to travel internationally with him while he goes and blows off steam, by the way.
Yeah,
but whatever.
That's too thought out.
Buck finds out that the beast did, in fact, uproot the bars from the window and has escaped. And the beast is running off through the night. And I just want to mention here throughout this entire issue, the way that Perlin draws werewolves, the lycans, in motion is this super cool, fluid, like it's less photorealistic or realistic. It is very evocative of motion and dynamism. So the first thing I thought of, we see this several times when there's werewolves running in here. It reminds me of that French cave with the paintings in it, Lascaux. You know what I'm talking about? They found those.
The Cave of Forgotten Dreams.
Yeah, where there's the handprints and there's the drawings of the creatures and there's a few people hunting. But it's just that very raw, just like expressive. Yeah. I just love it. I was actually tripping out on how good Perlin and Colletta were on this issue the entire time, both times I read through this. I feel this is like one of their top shelf issues as far as I can remember. So the beast is out stalking, and as he's running along, he thinks, or Jack is thinking in the narration, it was fortunate that the werewolf had manhandled those bars like so much soggy spaghetti. He's 20, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
And he's loping along the street, and he's heading for a particular location that we'll find a little more about later, but we cut to someone else, and we see Lou Hackett approaching a house, and he's thinking, hey, this is a swank setup this Mr. Cabal's got. Of course, he's a big-time lawyer and blah, blah, blah. Okay, actually, I'm going to read this whole thought bubble here because he's an interesting dude. He says, of course, Cabal's a lawyer, and lawyers always turn big bucks, defending the scum that cops risk their lives to collar. He walks up to the front door, and he's banging on the knocker. So it's about time one of us cops collared a lawyer for a change, even if it is on personal business. And, Lou has turned into a trip. I think he's slowly lost his mind over the last few issues. We're going to find out more about why, but he's a very strange dude. And I had forgotten why he was involved in our lives until a little bit later in this issue. So it was nice to be reminded why we even have to deal with this guy.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. So yeah, like you said, on the next page, he knocks on the door of Geraldo Cabal, and Cabal answers the door and immediately recognizes Hackett, saying like, "Oh, Lieutenant Hackett, what a surprise!" And Hackett's happy to finally find Cabal at home because obviously he's been trying to get him. And he kind of starts grilling him about the origins of the werewolf ring. And Cabal says that as executor of Joshua Kane's estate, he made sure Lou got one of the rings. But he says, I was under no obligation to tell you about its origins. And I love this because this totally enrages Lou, who says, look yourself, shyster, at Joshua Kane's best friend. I know he'd approve of me amending a little clause to his will, a clause that forces you to tell me where that ring came from. He just starts beating the shit out of Cabal. Yeah. And yeah, were you talking about that? How I'm like, oh yeah, Lou was best friends with Joshua Kane.
Well, I had forgotten that. And then later on, we find out that they hunted together.
Yeah, they were hunting
this is actually a really organic, realistic. I think Conway set this up, or Ween. I forgot who it was. But it's actually a pretty cool relationship that these two guys had.
No, it totally is. And so, he's beaten on Cabal, who finally relents and tells him about the ring.
So this page is amazing for one thing.
It totally is.
I love that Cabal. I one of my little weird things that I love is in comic books when they show like crushed velvet smoking jackets, they just instead of making them that deep velvet red kind of thing, they make them purple, and then they draw these weird Steve Ditko like just little squiggly lines everywhere. It always fucking cracks me up. I don't know why. I love it. And then he has a green ascot on.
So the last time we saw an outfit like this was probably Luther Kane, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, I think he had the same kind of aesthetic, at least.
Because Philip was never that flashy.
No, he wasn't.
And Geraldo has this. Perlin draws him a lot like Christopher Lee in this for some reason. Like he's got white hair with these black streaks, and he's very regal and aristocratic looking, and he looks like Christopher Lee to me. But I realized finally this issue that if I had my time machine or whatever, Wings Hauser would be Lou Hackett. Imagine Wings Hauser circa 1985 bringing that bad cop, fucking unhinged, I will beat the fuck out of a witness kind of like energy to this character. How good this would be.
You're absolutely right. Wings would be the best Lou Hackett ever.
Yeah. So yeah, he's just slapping this guy around demanding to know more about the ring. So we get a little flashback page, which has those neat little curvy lines that I like so much. And that's when we get the kind of backstory about how Joshua had amended his will, and there was that big crate full of magic material paraphernalia. And we even get to flash all the way back to Elfric the monk being burned at the stake and creating the Darkhold. And I love the way that Perlin drew Elfric tied to a cross, burning and screaming, and he looks like that John Stanley character, Melvin Monster. Like he looks super cute. You know what I'm talking about? That little green guy. I
totally know what you mean. That's great.
And so, yeah, there's this little kind of mini history here where we're talking about how the spells got bound into the Darkhold, how the Darkhold got into this hand, that hand, and all of so it's Elfric's materials that were in that chest, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's the source of this. So I was actually looking up the Darkhold today, and they did some backfilling with the story, which obviously people are going to do. But I mean, I guess it goes back to Morgan Le Fay and Red Sonja is even like some of the stuff is in there. So they kind of moved it all around in there. And another thing that surprised me was, I don't want to get into too much. I'm one episode behind on WandaVision, but that came up when I searched for the Darkhold and I was trying to find stuff. So
yeah, I don't think that's confirmed yet, but there was some kind of magical book that was in Agatha Harkness's basement. So yeah, we'll see. There's one episode left.
Okay, yeah. So we get that kind of. Well, first of all, I needed to jump back here at the kickoff of this flashback. Geraldo Cabal's little head is like a cameo brooch at the very top between the top two panels. And he's had the shit kicked out of him by Lou, and he's all cockeyed. Like, he looks so funny. Will you please include that in the feed? I laughed so hard.
I don't know why they chose to do that, but it is really funny.
So, Cabal's finishing his flashback and saying, the monk's ancient trunk of sorcerer's artifacts came into Kane's possession. Kane said there was something in the trunk that you were to get. He held up 2 rings, said that you should get one, that it would suit your nature. And that's all I know. I swear it. And it ends with this great panel of Joshua Kane with a big, Clint Eastwood stogie cigar holding up 2 werewolf-eyed rings and smiling.
This whole page is so great. I thought it was interesting. I'd like to do some comparisons with the previous issues of like this kind of backstory montage panel, like one long rectangular panel. I almost think we've seen those in the last 2 issues, like something very similar.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about that before, how there's these weird like design and layout through lines through these issues to where and they happen in the exact same place in each issue. Yeah, there's some kind of production backstory behind this that we just don't know. But like you had said before, this is some kind of time-saving thing.
Yeah, I would think so. But yeah, I love this. So now Bad Lieutenant Hackett's been caught up.
Yeah, so on the next page, Lou is still super pissed. He's just like, 2 rings, where's the other one? And Cabal says, a kid named Jack Russell took it. And Lou's like, Russell, that's all I need to know, Cabal. And then just slugs him. And I love how it was just this funny reaction from Cabal. He's just like, why did you hit me? Like, I just told you all you wanted to know. like, why are you still hitting me? And then he's like, why are you putting on the ring? And then he realizes once Lou, gets that ring on, he's going to transform. And so I love that little middle panel in the middle row there that just kind of shows Cabal just terrified, just realizing like, oh, fuck, I'm dead. And so Hackett transforms into a werewolf, and Cabal's like, no, it can't be. I don't believe it. It can't be. And he's like, stay away from me. And then Hackett just slashes Cabal's throat, just cuts his throat. It almost looks like he almost severs his head.
So I read that right. He just slit his throat with his claws, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, his head looks like it's barely attached to his body anymore. Like it is fucking Tales from the Crypt gruesome, and I love it. And
so he jumps out Cabal's window because he can't be bothered with. Maybe that's a sliding glass door. I don't know, but this panel here. I mean, I love Hackett transforming into this thing. He almost has like a weird Puma kind of vibe to him, like the Marvel character Puma. Like he looks almost kind of feline the way he, And we talked an issue sort of ago about when we saw him as a werewolf for the first time, and he had that kind of he still had that wavy golden boy California football guy hair, but now he's got his cop suit on. So he's got a suit and tie and a jacket on. It's I don't know why I find that hilarious. Like it's businessman really werewolf is fucking hilarious.
No, he is, and I've realized that it's a bit of a tradition now. Like a lot of the Werewolf Wednesday pics that I will throw up on Instagram have fully clothed werewolves, which just cracks my shit up. Again, I love it. Any type of fully clothed werewolf is I die laughing at. So I love it.
Especially a werewolf in a hunting hat.
Yeah.
That's got layers of stuff going on. So Hackett's now in his car in human form. Well, I guess he doesn't want to be driving as a werewolf around Los Angeles. So he's thinking, if my ring grants me the power of a werewolf, there's no telling what the other ring can do, which means I've got to find Russell and get it. Meanwhile, we cut to Jack as the Beast bolting towards Colden House. And he seems to be drawn to a basement set of stairs, which leads him to Coker's room. He seems to be drawn to Coker's room. There's some kind of cute Pack Brother stuff here. I thought this was adorable.
Oh,
but
man.
But he refers to him as his neighbor Paul Coker, which I was a little confused by.
I know.
It's a little late in the game to be doing the Peter Palmer, Peter Parker thing.
Oh, Peter Palmer.
Inside, Raymond, I'm going to just call him Raymond.
That's his name.
Is leaning over one of his weird pentagonal, hexagonal symbols on the floor and a brazier of incense and candles. And he's thinking, my spells have resisted the change for almost an hour now, but I didn't have enough time to gather the proper herbs. How much longer before the spell proves ineffective? And then instantly, before I change into, and then he starts screaming, tearing at his shirt. The lights go out, and in silhouette, we see him complete the change, which was already pretty much complete anyway. And Jack, as the Beast, hears that tortured growl, and he answers with a rawr. So now they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then the last panel there, we see Coker as a werewolf growling back. And it said that made Coker growl again. This time, not so much a soul-wrenched torment. And before you complete this sentence that stops between pages here, I was confused for the rest of this issue because we know that Jack interrupted a spell that Coker used to control his lycanthropy.
Mm-hmm.
But even after that magic was ruined, in that Vampires on the Moon outing, and when the first time they fought after the behemoth, he had the ability of speech and control of his mind. So I don't understand why he doesn't now.
Yeah, that is really interesting. But I guess he didn't. He does say he didn't have enough time to gather the proper herbs. So maybe this is. Yeah, I don't know. That is something that is a little confusing. Because you're right. Normally, Coker has a lot more going on mentally as a werewolf than Jack normally does, but that doesn't seem the case here.
Yeah, because I think an issue or two ago, he was saying like, well, now I've found a new spell, no thanks to you, I have to make a new spell, and I'm collecting the herbs. This was like just a day or two ago. So I'm just kind of confused why, I think there was a hiccup in how he works as a creature.
Yeah. Well, Moench got his name wrong, so that should have been a little bit of an indicator.
Yeah, Roy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He had one job.
Yeah. And it wasn't just snarky references.
So yeah, this next page and this panel. So the sentence is finished as in bestial greeting, and it's so awesome because Coker and Jack meet in the stairwell, and the narration is just like, after battling against one another and then together against two vampires, we were now brothers of a sort, united as much as wolves can be when the bond existing between them is ever a tenuous one. And this is just, I love this so much. And I'm glad they didn't have to have like a, we're not so different, you and I type of panel. Like, there's no need for that. They growled at each other and now they are fucking off as pack brothers. Like, it's so badass.
I'm a huge fan of it, but I have to say, I forgot to mention something on that last one when Jack lopes over to Colden House, goes down there and goes, and Coker does it back. That's basically the equivalent of him going over and saying, "Hi, Mrs. Coker, can Raymond come out and play?" Which made me super happy. The Pack Brother stuff totally thrilled me in this.
Oh, it's great. So yeah, Jack is just totally used to Coker enough now that he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my buddy. We're gonna go on an adventure tonight."
Puppies, like little puppies.
They are. So yeah, so they take off. In the next panel, Lou kind of hauls ass around a corner in his sweet green car, nearly like running someone down. And he thinks Moon's been out for an hour, which means Russell has been a werewolf for the same amount of time. Gotta hurry before he makes it to the woods. So another character talking about the woods. Like, that doesn't happen every issue.
No.
And that's not technically that is not part of the drinking game. So we have to wait until someone else mentions the forest. Yeah, until the very next panel.
By the way, I have in my notes here, can we just start referring to these LA woods as the Elmore National Forest?
Oh, I love that.
In honor of our good friend Brad Elmore.
Yeah, absolutely. I still want to make like I know I've talked to you about this, but I want to make a map like that person in The Shining did to like show how fucked up the layout of the Overlook is, but do it for Conway's LA, like how he had laid it out to where it's gonna be great, and there's forests everywhere.
Although I don't want to be doing this throwback stuff here, but we did get confirmation from Conway in the Monsters Unleashed episode we did last week that the Colden House is right on the beach, literally on the beach.
Really?
I mean, yeah. Isn't there multiple references to just like going out of like Jack just going out the front door essentially and going over Dune?
Yes, in the story. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's all. Okay.
Well, we have whiskey to drink. Why don't you talk about this last panel?
Okay. So, this final panel shows Jack and Raymond peeking around the corner of an alley, and it's almost like a Scooby-Doo type pose. It's so great. And the narration is like, we were confused, wanted only to prowl free in the forest beyond Los Angeles. Okay, drink.
Okay, yes, sir. Whiskey.
Yeah. But instead, we became lost in a squalid maze of city alleys. So, yeah, that panel made me laugh out loud when I saw it.
Yeah, so Jack's, like you said, peeking out of an alleyway, so his claws like grabbing the edge of the corner, poking out. Behind him is Coker, and they look like they're going to take on the Jets or the Sharks. Like, they are so cute. Like, I don't know. Coker looks pretty badass.
Yeah.
Love it. So at this point, they jump out from the alleyway, and there's a beautiful girl there that's looking at them in the foreground, and she shrieks loudly, and that's what turns Hackett onto them, and he's like, "Oh, Coker's with them." Well, they're heading into the alley, which is obviously they don't realize is a dead end. So he pulls his car up, does this kind of power brake thing, and slides in to block off one end of the alley. So now he's got the two of them trapped between a dead end and his car. And he very excitedly says, Kane was right when he told Cabal the ring would suit me. We hunted together a lot, Kane and me. It was the hunter's instinct which led me to become a cop. I'm not going to make a comment about that.
Yeah.
And if being a wolf isn't the best way to gratify that instinct, nothing is. Yes, sir, it's been fun hunting down Coker and Russell, and it's going to be more fun tangling with them. And as he's thinking all this stuff, he's taking off his jacket, his tie, and his shirt, and he's just down to his cool blue slacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a cop for a reason. He likes to hurt people. He's not a good cop. He's one of those bad apples that seems to be very, very common in my opinion. And he's not one of those guys that got picked on in high school and he has a power trip thing. He seems like he was just an asshole his entire life.
No, he was just an asshole jock. And it's funny, like I think back to his very first appearance when we first met him. And after that appearance, I'm like, oh, this is a good guy who's going to become an ally to Jack in some way. And nope, not at all.
No, very much not. And I know I'm still I have to finish my time machine, but I just want to mention that Wingshauser played football at OSU. Yeah. So, okay, there we go. Last time I talked about it. I also want to mention that a couple pages ago on one of your pages, I didn't get a chance to mention, but there's another one of those drawings when Coker and Jack first join up together and start running off to play in the wild. There's another one of those things where they're drawn like shadows or like these super lithe, unrealistic, strange, just impressionistic versions of werewolves instead of humanoid beings. Yeah,
and the few time that's done in this issue, we're seeing them from very far away. Yeah, too. Like they're not close-up shots at all.
No, it's just in silhouette, and it's just it's striking to me. I loved it.
It's so beautiful. So yeah, like you said on the next page, our Pack brothers are still in the alley, and they kind of whirl around. There's like a sound from screeching tires or something, and so they see this and start freaking out, and they're running down the alley, and then on this bottom large panel, which is so cool, Hackett, the Hackett wolf, drops down on them in this like super rad, and it's a big panel. It's 2/3 of the page, and I love the dynamism of this panel. It just looks awesome. Like this is probably my favorite page, and it's only 3 panels, but the 3 panels are done so well.
And this would be a penalty, by the way, in football. This would be clipping. Yeah. So he should know better.
No, he totally should know better. And yeah, and it's funny. Like I think that not as much the first panel that we saw the Hackett wolf, but in this one, in the panels after this, his hair is very wavy and very fancy. Yes. Like it's not messed up. It's fully done for the rest of the issue.
Right here, there's an element I love to this where Perlin has, I mean, man, he is such an effective draftsman, or like the way he's laying out these panels of being inside the alley. That first panel is Hackett swinging his car in to block them, and you have walls on either side. And then the second panel, you're looking up from like a worm's eye view at the 2 werewolves, and then you're seeing up at this crazy canted angle that gives it this kind of panicked funhouse feel. There's a silhouette of the Hackett wolf up there, which is a visual reference to before when Jack was in the park thinking about Lissa, I think.
Yep.
And he was being stalked by him, and we didn't know that yet at the time. So it's like a callback to that. Again, it's at like a, I don't even know, not 45-degree, like 20-degree angle. So it's all crazy. And then that big, huge panel they're talking about where you're at a bird's eye view, and the dynamism and the way that he inked Hackett's clothes and fur, just amazing. Oh, I love it. And all the garbage everywhere.
Yeah, the garbage looks great. No, I mean, Perlin as a storyteller is really shining through this issue. Like he's amazing.
I feel like he's been really getting his chops up for this book. And this is the first one where he's really shining, firing on all cylinders, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I almost think either his pencils were really detailed or they were just good enough for maybe Vinny to be like, oh, I probably shouldn't shit all over this. Like, this is pretty good. Maybe I'll spend an extra hour on it.
Yeah. So any of those kind of concerns I have whenever we switch over to Perlin, which happens every time I read through this, are gone by this issue, in my opinion. So on the next page, Hackett Wolf has Jack, the Beast, on his back. He's grabbed him by the top of his head, savagely fighting. Coker decides to come in with an assist. He dives in, but this is Savage Coker Wolf. This is Savage Jack. So they don't really have all of their faculties with them. So Hackett Wolf is aware of them. He does a sidekick, kicks Coker in the face. And then Jack takes that brief moment of distraction and rakes his claws across Hackett Wolf, and then charges. He gets up off onto his feet and is charging towards Hackett. So this is a very dynamic, action-filled page of just gorgeous art, but not a lot narratively going on. But
yeah, the action is just so intense and amazing in this issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just continues the next page. So Jack basically jumps on Hackett and like sinks his fangs into Lou's neck. And the narration says he felt the hot, sweet bubbling of blood in my mouth. But then, Lou comes to, he picks up a trash can lid and like bashes Jack in the face. And so Hackett's kind of realizing that the two werewolves they're too much for him to take on by himself. So he kind of says, he's thinking they're too fast, they're too nimble. I got to fight them where there's more room for me to move. And so he climbs up a fire escape kind of towards the rooftops. And like Hackett as a werewolf, especially in that first panel, he's so weirdly human looking, mm-hmm. like definitely different than Jack and Coker. And I realize, but Perlin's kind of also trying to make sure, aside from the fact that they're all colored differently, but just that we can differentiate between the three werewolves, and they all have a very unique look to them, which I think mm-hmm. is really cool.
Yep.
But yeah, but then in that last panel, man, I just can't get over how wavy and styled his hair looks. Every time, I'm always like, damn.
So I did neglect to mention something at the start of this alley fight. I'm not sure what is going on, but Hackett Wolf has a belt that has the werewolf rings insignia in them like a logo, like two odd eyes. So does he have a costume?
Yeah, he has a costume. He found the card for Baron Thunder's tailor and decided to get some of his own merchandise. Yeah, so weird choice. Cute.
Yeah, that was weird, but I dug it for some reason. I don't know if it's in the chest of magic stuff. Maybe it's a magic belt. We don't know. Yeah. It made me kind of think, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a Batman utility belt of magic rings that could go on? Like, this is how geeky I get with this stuff. Like, how weird can you do, right? What would Jeff Johns do with it? How would he ruin it? Just kidding. I like Jeff Johns. So you mentioned a couple of things on this page that I totally dig, and I want to call out because we're gushing over the art, but Moench does some cool stuff in here. And I feel like he's really wearing this pelt now, and he's starting to write this perfectly. Like you said, as he bites into it, it says, the sweet bubbling of blood in his mouth. Like he's living in the skin of a werewolf, and he's like, the palate would change. Mm-hmm. So what we taste as salt and iron and something that is like inherently evolutionarily repellent to us tastes sweet and good to him. So he's already thinking the way a werewolf would think. And then when Hackett is fleeing to get to a better, more advantageous space to fight, he goes up the fire escape, and Jack remarks that the grid of like the fire escape landing feels weird on his feet. Like, so Moench is cool. Completely in there. I love it.
He says the network of metal bars alien to my padded feet. Yeah, it's a really cool touch.
Yes. And so I was mentioning before that I thought Perlin was really flexing with all that claustrophobia of the alley. And now we get to see him open that up and do the complete obverse of that, because now they're on the rooftops and it's almost agoraphobically wide and sprawling. It's gorgeous. Yeah. His architectural draftsmanship is crazily good. Yeah. I was blown away. And fuck, man, Colletta, his inks on all of this buildings and devices and machinery are just sick. Yeah. So Hackett's doing that thing you see in action movies where there's a bunch of interconnected buildings and he's just kind of hopping over each of the little things, and Jack and Coker are giving chase. So they're following after him. There's some bigger gaps where they have to like make an actual leap of like 12 feet. We get the silhouettes of those strange shadow thin figures that are physically impossible but totally evocative of these lithe, pure animal things like shadows. And so they follow him up a ladder to top of a building that has a bunch of smokestacks around it. And Jack is surprised to see that the Hackett wolf is kind of standing there waiting for him.
Yeah, I like the in that bottom narration. Yeah, he says, "I was surprised to see him standing his ground." Which, yeah, everything you said about that page, I just double. Like it's amazing. Like
Is this Petra doing the colors?
Yeah,
The color, the palettes. I mean, in one panel, all of the rooftops are green because of a hue from the moonlight bouncing down on them. The drop shadow on the raised area is purple, and the top part of the separating thing is blue. Like, it's just all of these gorgeous palettes of cool blues, greens. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, well, Petra Goldberg, I mean, she's done quite a few of these issues, and I think every time she's on one, we comment on how much we like it. I mean, I think she's probably our favorite colorist for the series. But yeah, such a cool page. And then the next page, this is when, after this page, I was just like, oh, okay, this is bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe it. So Jack slams into Hackett, and they crash through a skylight into a steel factory, complete with like giant vats of like molten steel and shit. I was just like, holy shit. Like, this is some classic like film serial pulp type action.
Yeah.
And so the two of them face off on like this narrow catwalk with Hackett saying, "All right, Russell, I want that ring." And I thought it was interesting in the narration there, after he says, "All right, Russell, I want that ring." And the Beast is kind of trying to remember, and says in the narration, "Whatever I experienced, vague recollections like disjointed fragments of a jigsaw puzzle centering around a similar ring which had transformed me into the wolf between cycles of the full moon." So Jack is or the Beast is kind of getting his bearings a little bit. He's remembering some things. But yeah, they just basically jumped into this crazy factory with danger all around. So just the stakes just got upped again.
I had a hard time believing that this was Vinny inking this, because the last panel has a giant smelter pot hung up, of molten steel. And these lines are so fussy, like individual stratified, perfectly spaced, perfect width between each of them, like on shading. Everything's perfectly shaded on this vat. The catwalk, we're seeing that we're looking up at the two werewolves standing off on a catwalk. The catwalk, the lines and the grading are perfectly spaced and perfectly lined. Every inking goddamn thing. I mean, it looks like it was done with a digital tool. It's so perfect. It doesn't look human. So Colletta, man, so uneven.
Yeah, but
he's so good in this issue.
He's crazy good. And then I like that the little asterisk after Jack remembering about the ring goes down to, and it says last issue, Instant Historian Roy. I think that's my favorite one of his so far.
It's this last issue, right?
Yeah.
So he's old timer, remembers all this stuff.
Yeah.
So on the next page, we have one of those we were talking again about this kind of repetitive way of laying this stuff out. This is another one of those ones that is not quite a 2-page spread. It's actually a 2-panel spread with one of the panels bleeding over into a third of the second page. These are so strange. And again, these are represented to you as one page, or how do they show them in digital?
on Marvel Unlimited, they recognize this as one page, so they show the whole spread unbroken.
Okay. Interesting. So the big panel shows Hackett slashing at Jack's face, and he's falling over the edge of the railing and holding onto his face because he's just had his face raked by claws. There's says, and then my memories were slashed from me as his claws raked through my face in a scarlet arc of agony. And in the smaller panel, he's tumbled over the railing and he's falling towards, this molten steel that is so hot that flames are coming off of it. And it says, a massive cauldron heat singed my fur. I scrabbled for any hold within reach. So he's already fallen free of the hand railing, and he's pretty much seems to be lost to go into this cauldron of molten metal.
What did you think of the Hackett Wolf's shadow? I thought that was so weird, the way that it was done. Is that maybe like trying to signify that the fire, the flames are kind of creating this weird little like dancing shadow or something? It's a really oddly inked shadow, I thought.
It is. For those of you that can't see it, immediately behind Hackett on the wall is his shadow, and the top of it is dark. And as it goes down to about where his shoulders are, it kind of looks like cigarette ash, or the way that they ink J. Jonah Jameson's hair as it goes down from dark to gray sideburns.
It's perfect comparison.
or Reed Richards. And the way I pictured it was that this cauldron is putting out so much heat that shadows don't essentially exist, which doesn't make any sense. But like as you're getting further away from the heat of the cauldron, shadows are starting to be able to exist. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Like, it doesn't make any physical sense in science terms, but it's like, it's so hot and bright that shadow can't even be cast until you get up to like his shoulders and above. And that's where you're far enough away from the light to where shadow begins.
Oh, I love that. I love it so much.
That's the one I can think of to explain.
So yeah, like you said, after Hackett slashes at the beast's face and he starts to fall over into one of these fiery vats. And so on the next page, he's like clinging to the catwalk, and Hackett starts stomping on his hands. I'm just like, oh shit, this is bad. But I love that in that third panel, you know, we see Hackett stomping, and then again above them we see this beautiful silhouette of Coker, and we know it's Coker, wolf shape, and it has his yellow shirt on. And he's like, it's through the broken skylight and with the full moon behind him. Like, again, it's beautiful. And this has been beautiful, this whole issue. And then after that, we see in the same kind of thing with smaller figures, kind of more of a silhouette. We see Coker leap down and slam into the back of Hackett's head, kind of sending him flying off of the catwalk.
There's so much right with this page. That first panel that shows a close-up of the beast's hands clinging onto the catwalk, and you have that perfect inking of the fur that I love so much, and the way that I just love the way that he renders his claws, and you know, the perfect touch of Hackett stomping on his feet like some goddamn playground bully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, he looks like he's gleefully doing it. And that panel you described, I lingered on for 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, we're down below the cauldron looking up, so you have these multiple planes of depth, and in each of the planes there is a werewolf. So the immediate one is Jack hanging from the catwalk and swinging just above this cauldron that's like at our eyesight. One plane behind that is Hackett stomping, and then you go up in that beautiful broken skylight, like you said, where Coker is framed. So I mean, just these framing devices and layers of depth. Perlin's got all mad props for me at this point.
Yeah, and it's you're right. I really lingered on that panel too. I mean, I think just as I got older, I spent more time on each panel when I'm reading a comic, just, you know, because I can, and because it's nice to try to understand exactly what the artist was going for. And yeah, and something like this with the multiple depths of field, and it's astounding.
And again, Vinny, on that first panel with the close-up of the claws, the 2 rivets on either side of Jack's claws have shadow, indicating that this is a really bright light coming out of the cauldron. Like, so much attention to detail that I would not expect from him ever.
Yeah, maybe he didn't have a date that night.
Yeah. So on the next page we have, we're closing in here on the big finale. Obviously, this has just been bananas breakneck the last few pages. Coker has caught himself on the hand railing after kicking Hackett in. Hackett's flying into the molten lead. It's splashing up, and all that you can see sticking out of the molten liquid metal are these feet that are rendered as just stretchy shadows of claw feet. And the sound effect is fash, and the lettering looks like lava, like with these little tendrils and fingers of like molten stuff coming off of the letters and exclamation point themselves. So cool. And so it says, there were sounds from below, horrible hissing as I hauled myself to safety. And the beast looks at Coker and says, "What?" Or whatever he says. It's something. And he says, the growl might have passed for gratitude. But then the bond between the wolf brother and myself began to melt. And we look over Jack's shoulder, the beast's shoulder, and Coker is kind of vibrating and changing. And it says, as he changed, in the next panel, Raymond Coker has turned back into his human form. And he says, the cure, the reversal of lycanthropy. The book said, to cure a werewolf, the afflicted must kill another werewolf. And this last panel is this beautiful profile of Coker with a tear running down his eyes around his cheeks as his eyes are closed in relief. And he says, "And I've done that. I've killed a werewolf, whoever he was, and it's over for me."
Yeah, it's really moving. Like those last three panels are really well done, and that last one is really moving because most of the time that we've been around Raymond Coker, he's not really one to let his emotion or vulnerability show, and so it's really effective when we finally see him kind of break down because he's been cured.
Yeah, when I got into Raymond Coker as a character, I had to imagine him. I played Raymond Coker in our drama.
Yeah,
that's why the joke is there. So we have a new drinking game rule. Whenever a character dies, we have a drink.
Okay.
I'm not, I know comics deaths aren't always permanent, but when a guy goes into a vat of molten steel, I think he's dead. So to Lou Hackett, fuck you wherever you are. You should have been Wingshauser. What are you having?
Long Branch and Coors.
Long Branch. You still have that same Long Branch?
I'm almost out. I've been saving it mainly just for I mainly just drink it on Tuesdays.
Okay. I'm still on Four Roses.
Yeah.
And they're out of my old German, so I'm having Montucky Cold Snack.
Oh, wow.
You've had that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally unremarkable.
Yeah, it is very unremarkable. So yeah, on this final page, this is the big moment here, and it's an amazing ending to a really great issue. So the BC's Coker has transformed back into a human, and the narration reads, "My wolf brother was gone. All I saw before me was a hated human, helpless prey for me to rend and tear and claw. It says, I raised my talons for a vicious slash, but when I looked into his eyes, my hand descended slowly, almost gently, and came to rest on his shoulder." I was like, damn.
I know. That is so really touching. I know it's corny, but I'm totally moved by that.
It was. I was really moved by it too.
Like, breaking through, right? He's connecting. He understands. He remembers.
Yeah, it's a really sweet moment. And then it reads, "No, I could not slay him, but neither could I remain with him, for no longer were we brothers of the moon. So I turned and I left in search of the forest, in search of freedom." So drink to that.
Yeah. Forgot about that one.
And then we're left with Coker saying, "God help you, Russell. I know what your hell is like. I've been there. And now that I've returned, I almost wish I were still a werewolf so you could kill me." And again, so great.
Yeah.
And we're left with the teaser for next issue at the bottom. It says, "Next Fury of the Full Moon."
But not next for us.
No, not next for us, sadly. So yeah, that's our issue. And man, yeah, it was just an action-packed, super well done, great issue. It's a great culmination of the storyline, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm. And again, I could have taken the Hackett ring story a bit longer. I think if that were written today by a Bendis, that would be like a 3-year storyline.
It would.
But part of me likes how compressed it is and how, there's almost a logical or emotional violence in the way that these older comics just crammed in so much stuff into these things where you're just kind of clinging, by your fingernails to just keep up with what's going on. And I think that if it had been drawn out, it probably would have lessened some of the impact.
Yeah, it definitely would have. And again, I wonder how much of these, like, kind of, I mean, they're one and done stories a lot of the time, or at least the villains are. But I wonder if they're so easily killed forever just because they don't know what the legacy of this book is. Hell, they don't even know if it's going to be around in 10 issues. So I don't really know if they're thinking years in the future about Jack Russell's legacy and how they should craft it. I mean, yeah, this is probably pretty, it's not disposable. They obviously care a lot about it, but they're doing it fast. So maybe they're just going for that punch of like, yes, we're killing a villain every other issue.
Yeah, you can go to Twitter or to our Instagram page and see our memoriam of the characters who have died in the first half of this show's run. And it is quite a body count. So, yeah, I was thinking before we recorded tonight, Jacob, remember in the late 90s when the Clone Saga was kind of dying down. Ben Reilly was the real, air quotes, Peter Parker for a couple of years. And all that stuff was going on. And a lot of purists were like, I just want Spider-Man back. And they did that book, Untold Tales of Spider-Man. I forgot who wrote it. But did you ever read that? It was one that, remember when they did that line of 99-cent books? And it didn't really sell well, which is odd because they were mostly good.
I remember them. I don't think I read many of them, though.
I'm going to pull my bound one. This is before I knew enough not to put 3 billion comics in one library bind, so it's very unwieldy.
That's a big bind.
So it had a pretty consistent art team. It's Kurt Busiek who wrote it, who's I think a freaking titan of writing.
Yeah.
Oh, and Pat Olaf did the pencils for almost the entire thing.
Okay.
But they did this neat thing. So you haven't read this before?
No, I don't think I've read it.
Oh, sometime I'll have to send this your way. They did this really neat thing where they went back through the Ditko, the original omnibus, essentially, and told stories that happened in between things. So they created some new characters, but they weren't obnoxious about it. But like they would do kind of a little thing, and they would also kind of fill in some holes where it's like, well, this didn't make any sense. So why don't we show a story where Peter did this, that, and other, and this person got introduced, and then it's not so out of left field. But it was 99 cents. It was 1963 Peter Parker. You know, he's wearing a shirt and a tie and a sweater vest. I mean, it's that kind of stuff. And it's great. It's super good stuff. So my thought was, why can't we do that with Jack Russell? Why can't there be, I mean, we've talked about how loopy his chronology is and how, you know, just bananas some of this stuff is, the way it doesn't add up, and the moons and this, that, and the other. So let's do it. Let's you and I write Untold Tales of Werewolf by Night. I'm thinking I kind of want to go for that Philip. No, who was the guy that did the Krog story? The artist.
Roth. Werner Roth. Yeah.
Werner Roth. So I want like Mike Allred. I want that kind of vibe of that kind of clean, weird Batman 66 kind of thing. And we just write stories in the middle of between issues.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Okay. Taboo, Ben, make this happen.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're looking to the future, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're busy with Ghost Rider right now.
Yeah. That's right. I'm looking forward to that, by the way.
Yeah, I am too. I really hope Jeffrey Vereggi does all the art, but he's one of those guys that just, you know, I think he does more covers and other things.
Yeah, I don't think he's an interiors guy. I don't think he works fast enough.
No, it's kind of like, you know, the guy that did a lot of the Daredevil covers, the Totino Tedesco. Like, I would love an entire issue done by that guy, but fuck, like...
I'll wait.
Oh, my God.
Get on that, dude. I will wait.
I would totally wait for that. Oh, man, I follow him on Instagram. The shit he posts is just... Every cover he's ever done, I think, is brilliant.
I got to follow him. Who was that guy that I sent you that Action Comics cover of? And you're like, oh, that guy's great. Like, I'd never seen him before, but you knew who he was. He's like Argentinian or Chilean or Venezuelan.
It wasn't Chichetto, was it? The guy that actually works on Daredevil? No, I don't think it was.
Oh, it wasn't
I can't remember.
Kind of more in that vein of like Alex Ross, but like...
Are you sure that wasn't Tedesco?
Maybe that was Tedesco.
I think it is, yeah, because he has that kind of realistic thing, but I think does it a little better than Alex Ross. I know.
I agree 100%.
I love Alex
Ross, and I like this guy better.
See, I like him a lot better, and I don't love Alex Ross. I feel like my voice always goes down to like a whisper when I talk about this, because people just fucking love Alex Ross, and he can do nothing wrong.
No, I
don't. But a lot of the time, I just don't like.
Well, it's dead.
Yeah, it's not.
He's okay for covers. It's okay for iconic things, but you can't have panel to panel living life like of his friends standing in his living room, you know, doing the Tom Goes the Mayor like pose, and then he paints it. And I think he's great for iconic stuff and covered like Marvels. I get that. Kingdom Come, I get that. But like, I don't want to see it like in interiors. I don't want to see it all the time. It's special to me when it's just like there's the Alex Ross variant. You know what I mean? Makes sense?
Yeah. No, it does, and he basically has done every cover of the of Al Ewing and Joe Bennett's Immortal Hulk run. He's done every cover, and those are great. But I don't know. I don't want to speak ill, but I'm just getting a little tired.
I understand.
It's sometimes his covers go to that uncanny valley for me.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm trying to say. It's like my main criticism is his work is dead. It doesn't feel.
It is static.
Yeah, it's static, so it's dead to me. You can paint Superman in this super iconic pose, looking up from his penis to his chest and whatever, and it'll I'll have an emotional response. Everything that's supposed to happen is going to happen, but I have an intellectual But I mean, like I dig Marvels. I dig. I
like Kingdom Come.
Marvels worked to me because it was like turning around and saying, so let's look back at this, and what if this had actually happened? What if there was a Spider-Man? What would this look like in an actual New York? So that's where it works. When you're forcing reality into a thing.
Yeah, I think it works. It works with the narrative for Marvels. It's actually an integral part of that narrative. And I love I love the idea of Marvels. I love the whole what if you actually saw a man on fire flying through the sky?
Yeah.
Like that would be really fucked up. That would traumatize
super
you.
Effective.
And that was I love it.
And it's also the only Alex Ross work I own. That's probably why.
Yeah. Yeah, I own that, and I own Kingdom Come, and that's the only. Yeah, those are the only.
It's not a DC
that Yeah.
So, are you ready for Werewolf by Night?
Always.
So we've got 2 pages here, and as we mentioned last time, I think they're starting to kind of pad their scripts because this has 3 different panels to pad out to 2 pages. One has Jack's great grandfather jumping out at that woman. Remember that one at the start of one of the issues that randomly flashed back? Yeah. Oh, it was when Lou Hackett was knocking on his door after the behemoth. One of those. Coker and Jack fighting / hugging. Bromance in the making.
Yeah.
And then another one of looks like when Ma Mayhem and Jack were in Coker's apartment and he first attacked Jack. So lots of padding. And the Marvel value stamp this issue is The Lizard. Series A, number 72.
Would you be disappointed in that Marvel stamp? Or would you like that? Would that be one you'd be excited to have?
The Lizard?
Yeah.
I love the Lizard.
That's what I figured. I thought so. I just wanted to double check.
I'm a huge Lizard fan. Since I was a little kid, I don't know why. I've always responded to the Lizard as a character. We have a letter here from Jackson Sargent Jr. in Indianapolis. Dear Marvel, Werewolf by Night 17 was an unusual issue in a lot of ways, and I can't be sure whether I like the changes I see coming or not. Story-wise, I like this issue in most ways. Mike Friedrich seems to have a good grasp of Jack Russell's character. It's not fully fleshed out yet, but that takes time. Mike's come far enough already that I'll be patient while he smooths out the rough edges, or even polishes the wrinkles. Glug. I don't understand that.
Glug. I don't understand that either.
Okay. As for Don Perlin's art, I'm smack in the middle. I can't decide whether I like it or not. It's obvious he's trying to catch the flavor of Plug's Werewolf, and in many places he succeeds, but somehow something is still lacking. Maybe he needs a stronger inker. Yeah, get Vinnie Colette on the case. Now, I said I like this issue's story in most ways. A few things really came off badly. First, I hate the idea of Topaz going back to India to renew her powers. Get in line, dipshit. It's dumb. And you're writing a great character out of the strip. Why? Secondly, I did not like this Baron Thunder character. He comes from the ancient Count Nefarious school of corny villains, and he's all wrong for Jack Russell. What happened to the supernatural or purely physical foes he used to fight? Super science has no place in Werewolf by Night. It just doesn't fit together at all. Finally, I am puzzled by one caption in this book. On page 32, which reads, Elsewhere, later the following evening, isn't this story supposed to be narrated by Jack Russell himself? How could Jack possibly know what's going on elsewhere? Tighten up, people. This kind of error, made frequently enough, could really make a mess of WBN. Anyway, as I said, I basically liked the book, except for those few faults. Just bring back Topaz, get rid of the science fiction nonsense and the hokey villains, and watch your narration, and we'll be okay. Give me a response to this letter.
There's no response to it?
No, there is. I want yours.
Oh, I mean, I think he's being a little nitpicky, but yeah, I want Topaz back. Baron Thunder was a silly villain, but I can't ever think of his name or say his name without saying Baron Thunder playset. Like Baron Thunder's action playset. That's what I think of now. Like that's what I want to own. Even as an adult, I want that playset.
Since you included that in that post, it's definitely an affliction I have as well. So here's our response. I'm assuming this is Roy. So will we, Jackson. So he says, do this, that, and the other, and we'll be okay. So will we, Jackson, once we catch our breaths. For a guy who basically liked Werewolf by Night number 17, you do a terrific imitation of somebody who couldn't stand it. That's Roy, right?
That's absolutely okay. Roy Thomas.
No, seriously. You're absolutely right on certain points. And we've done all we can to keep an eye out for dumb mistakes like that caption you mentioned. We're also moving away from science fantasy back into the supernatural realm now that Doug Moench is scripting the book. Unlike Mike Friedrich, whose real forte is superhero writing, Doug has spent most of his time writing in the mystery horror genre, and we think he'll be providing more of the sort of tale you mentioned, Mr. Sargent. Sir. As for Don Perlin, the male, it seems, has turned in his favor lately, as he develops more and more a werewolf style of his own, still based on the original Plugish version, but with some different touches. We think you'll be pleased with what he has in mind. So, I love Roy's response. Wow, for somebody who basically liked it, you kind of did a great job of shitting on it.
Oh, you gotta love Roy.
Yeah. Okay, so, I'm drawn to weird letters.
Here we go.
Here we go. Arg! My name is Gregory Banaka from the forest. The forest. Yeah, I'm here because I'm not a werewolf. I'm just from the forest. That is why I'm writing to you. I am from the forest, and I know Jack Russell, and I wish you would keep him out of the forest, because I am from the forest. Do you understand? Don't let Jack get anywhere near the forest, because I am from the forest. I am there, in the forest, because I am from the forest. I am always in the forest.
Ow.
The forest is my home. Jack has an apartment. Let him stay there. He doesn't need to bother me in the forest. Thank you. From the forest, where I am. Gregory Banaka, the Weretree, the forest, California.
Gregory Banaka, it sounds like Andy Kaufman wrote that letter.
And the response is, where'd you say you were from, Greg?
Oh, my God. Yeah, there does seem to be that weird unhinged contingent that writes into Werewolf by Night.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they got him over at Tomb of Dracula too, but I like to think that this book gets its own special kind of weirdos.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man didn't get that shit.
No, definitely not.
So that's our mail. As we discussed, I believe we're reading Giant Size Werewolf by Night number 2 next week. So little werewolf Frankenstein's monster action. That should be fun. Right?
It's going to be something.
Okay. Well, I'm fully invested in the Moench Perlin team right now, so I consider this an unwelcome diversion, but I'm going to do it.
Well, you're a slave to continuity, and
I'm a professional, like Nigel Tufnell. Look, who's in there? There's no one. Look, there's a little guy in there. So we did mention that we got a letter from someone, Mark, right, who said, hey, have you guys ever thought about talking about the Fox show from their inaugural season, 1987, 1988, that was called Werewolf? Because, there's some parallels between that and Werewolf by Night. And I mentioned this on an episode. I thought, yeah, well, I actually have thought about that.
Yeah, so we both watched the pilot, and God, right out of the gate, wow, there's a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
Like, I can totally understand why he was just like, yeah, you guys got to compare these two, because there's a lot to compare. So I had never seen this. You said that you had watched this back in the day when it was part of Fox's debut broadcast lineup, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I think I saw the ending of the pilot, or I saw a couple episodes, but again, this is 87, so I was 11, probably. maybe just turned 12. And it kind of freaked me out. I mean, it had a rep of being edgy, right? I mean, Fox was establishing the edge. They were edgelords of television at the time. That was their whole mission statement.
Yeah, that's I thought the exact same thing, because in '87 I was 10, and yeah, this would have been a little intense for me.
Yeah, I saw a few episodes back in the day. My stepdad was kind of strict, so like he wouldn't be down with like Married with Children, or maybe he would be. Or maybe he wasn't like religious, but he was kind of conservative.
Okay,
and don't worry, since 9/11, he has completely turned around and is the most liberal senior citizen in the world. And like, you know how you nightmare scenarios, you go to your parents' house and Fox News is up at 120 decibels. It's CNN and MSNBC. So he's on the opposite side. He did a 180, but back in the day he was very conservative. And I remember there was an episode of 30 something that didn't show any homosexual activity, but just had two male characters that were alluded to as being gay laying in bed like in the morning talking to each other on Sunday morning or doing the crossword or something. And he said, well, we're done with ABC. I don't remember what the video was, but I remember MTV got banned almost out of the gate. There was some electropop UK video, and it was like shot on some British castle, you know, like there's, you know, manor, and there was some pale redheaded guy. It was probably a Erasure for all I fucking know. It was like 82, 83. And there's some pale, effeminate kind of male running around some English castle and had no shirt on and had no melanin. And he walked in and was like, fuck this. We're not watching MTV.
Oh boy.
We were officially never allowed to watch MTV again for the rest of my, time in the house, which was 10 years, but we watched MTV all the time. But
I would think so.
Thank God he owned a business and worked too much.
Yeah.
So my point being, I didn't get to see a lot of Werewolf, but I did see maybe the end of this pilot or a few episodes here and there, and the transformation scenes and stuff freaked me out for sure.
Yeah, well, I saw in the credits, so Rick Baker had something to do with the makeup in this.
Yeah, I think he developed it.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was. I thought the werewolves looked interesting in this. They looked a little more bear-like. Yeah,
that's one of my main elements I don't like about it as much as that, we talked about this before. I'm more of the classical in this universal sense of like wolf man. So when they have like a wolf head, I've always kind of been turned off by that. But so they have like the wolfish head, and they have like a really big hunchy back. So they look more bearish or jackal-y or something. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, there was a point in watching the pilot when I think it was towards the end, and you got a full view of I think it's Eric Cord as a werewolf, and I got really serious like Sienkiewicz demon bear from the New Mutants vibe. I was just like, oh shit, it's the demon bear.
Yeah, I can see that. So the premise, I'm kind of bummed because we got that letter from a listener. We talked about it. We agreed to do this and at least do the first handful of episodes kind of spread out. But so I went on YouTube and I downloaded every single episode and stuck it in a little folder. And that was, I think, based on the timestamp on my computer, February, 17th. And they're now all gone. So I was worried that would happen because the only other way to see this right now is to order it from a French company that just released a really nice box set called Le Loup-Garou. And you have to have a region-free DVD player or Blu-ray player. And you have to order it from the European continent. So the shipping is as much or more than the box set. So I looked it up on Amazon France, and I think it was like $65 to get this thing on like 4 discs. And I was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. The region free thing kind of spooked me out because I have a region free DVD player back from when I bought a bootleg of every Mystery Science Theater episode ever in a giant box. But yeah, Blu-ray. I didn't know they made region. I thought Blu-rays were region free inherently, but I guess that's a naive communist pinko thinking.
Yeah, that's not capitalism. That's not how capitalism works, Matt.
Yeah. So this is an opportunity to talk to me and Jacob. If you would like to see this pilot, I will put it on Google Drive and I will share a link somewhere discreet when someone reaches out to us at werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to check out this 90-minute pilot, is it? It's a full movie length pilot, right?
Yeah, it's movie length.
If you want to see it, let us know and I will shoot you a link to where you can download it discreetly. And that's just between you and me and the forest. But the original idea was that we would watch kind of maybe the whole series if we were digging it, maybe just the first 5 episodes and jump off if we weren't committed. So I don't know what to do now, but let's just talk about the pilot and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I've watched it twice now. Ooh. And it's very 1987 in a great way. And I thought especially the 2 songs, there's 2 popular songs and right in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So the first one is The Future's So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades by Timbuk 3. And then it's the other one is what?
The first one was Mike and the Mechanics.
Silent Running. Yeah, the first one is Silent Running.
Fantasia Dance Club.
Oh my God, that dance club.
So I had to Shazam that because I was like, well, and it's that one Phil Collins song. And Shazam was like, that's Mike and the Mechanics?
Yeah.
I've been operating the last 35 years assuming that was Phil Collins. I felt really weird about that.
But you've lived a good life.
Well,
it hasn't detracted from you and enjoying things.
It's been a shadow of a good life. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. But
sing a few bars. Did you not think that was Phil Collins?
I absolutely thought it was Phil Collins.
Like it's Mike and the Mechanics trying to just go, all right, so Phil released this album called No Jacket Required. He's crushing everybody. We got to write a Phil Collins song now.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, what was the other Mike and the Mechanics hit? The Golden Years or something?
Yeah, the one that's like about his dad or something. Yeah. That's a good song.
Yeah, it's kind of maudlin, catchy song.
Yeah, I like maudlin stuff.
Yeah. But no, so the soundtrack right away is peak 1987. And I really liked it. So how do you want to do this? You just want to kind of describe a little bit of the plot?
Yeah, we'll talk about the setup and just kind of how this was a setup for a series without, dragging somebody through the entire experience. Up front, I want to mention that the series was created by a guy, and this pilot was written by him, a guy named Frank Lupo, which I don't know. This sounds wolfy to me. I thought that was funny.
It's funny.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, but your last name is Howell. So
yeah,
I
don't follow.
Yeah, you're right.
We meet Eric Cord, and he is a grad school student. His best friend, Ted, we don't meet at first, but we meet his sister and her father, and they're affluent. And Eric has essentially grown up as the best friend of this brother. So he's pretty much a family member at this point, but he's also, quote unquote, secretly dating the little sister, but she's pretty sure her dad knows already.
Yeah, it didn't seem very secret.
No. And she was played by the woman who starred in Blame It on Rio with Demi Moore and Michael Caine.
Okay, yeah, she looked familiar, but I couldn't place her.
So I've never seen Blame It on Rio. I was too young to see it when I probably would have liked it, and then once I was old enough, I read the description and it sounded gross.
Yeah,
so
I don't think
it's funny either. Apparently, it's funny. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, she's kind of most well known for that, but she acted quite a bit as well. Yeah, where else do we go here? So one thing I thought was funny before we move on was that you were saying these big songs were in here. And I love that they were front loaded in the first commercial break, so that anyone who's like, oh, this is a new horror show called Werewolf, let's watch it. Like, oh, today's hits. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, this has high production value. You don't hear any of those the rest of the time.
No, it's just very, very stock, like sexy guitar music for the rest of it, basically.
Screaming. I think I mentioned this before when the last episode or a couple ago. That the very soulful screaming white boy Clapton-y kind of sexy guitar is an omnipresent. It is a character of this series, which is one of the things I don't like about it.
Well, I was just kind of shocked at how up in the mix the guitar music was. It was another character.
Yeah.
It was as loud as everybody else's lines. So I thought that was an interesting choice.
So, yeah, without like trotting through the entire plot, which is basically setting up an ongoing series, obviously, I just want to talk about some of the like higher end production stuff about it. So, like you said, Rick Baker had a hand in some special effects or some creature development. The transformation scenes are pretty top notch, in my opinion, especially for a 1987 TV network show. They hired Chuck Connors as a villain. Who knows if it's one of those things where they got Chuck Connors for 2 weeks and shot the entire series of all of his appearances, which will make sense. But he is horrifying in it to me. He was a highlight of the pilot to me.
Yeah, it was funny knowing Chuck Connors and knowing it was kind of the end of his life and a really long career. I kind of expected him to just like not want to be there or phone it in. Yeah. And my God, no, he is over the fucking top.
Yeah, he gave it 110%. And I saw some footage of him on like Letterman or something like that, and showing off his a little bit of his makeup and his teeth. So he was apparently into it. Like I think he had a good time.
Yeah, well, did you read that whole thing to where, like, after the pilot, he wanted a lot more money?
Oh.
And they didn't want to give it to him, so they kind of ended up writing his character out.
Around him,
kind of. And yeah, writing around him for a while, and then eventually, like, replacing his character as the main antagonist. But, yeah, he was great. And I always forget how freakishly tall Chuck Connors is. He's like 6'6" or something.
Physically very intimidating.
He's enormous.
So as I mentioned before, he in another episode, he plays the kind of the progenitor of the bloodline of these werewolves, Janos Skorseny. So and that's a reference to the Night Stalker with Darren McGavin. That is the name of the vampire in the first TV movie. That's the Night Stalker. But so that's a cool little nod to him. But the premise that's set up here is that this Janos Skorseny is a sailor. He's got an eye patch on. He's an old salty sea dog, and he's also a werewolf. He has no compunction about killing. He enjoys it, and he knows that anyone that he turns to lycanthropy with this curse gets the mark and becomes one of his children, as he calls them, and goes off and spreads forth their line. And he can sense them and smell them. I thought Jacob would appreciate that this is definitely not a viral type of vampire thing. This is definitely a blood curse. It's more magical and metaphysical than viral. Like a character, if you're bitten and you have the cursed blood, you before you turn, a pentagram appears on your hand like a scar and rises until right before you turn, at which point it starts blistering and becomes an open sore and starts bleeding.
Yeah, so the moon doesn't really figure into this series at all.
At all.
Like not literally. In the slightest.
No, and yeah, so when the basic premise is that Eric Cord's best friend, the guy we've been talking about, Ted, that we haven't met, was bitten by Janos a year ago when he took a summer off to go work down in Baja and do a fishing gig just to kind of clear his head and decide, do I want to go to grad school? Do I not? And he got attacked and turned into a werewolf, and he's been living this life, which explains to his friend Eric and his roommate, oh, that's why you keep disappearing all the time and doing this stuff. You've been hunting this guy. Because if he can kill Janos, he can free himself of the curse and go back to living a normal life. But the problem with Ted is that at first he tried locking himself up, tying himself up, doing whatever. But as each cycle happens, he seems to be embracing it more and losing control of himself. And that's the ultimate expression of that is Janos Skorseny, who loves it and has no compunction, like I said, about killing anyone, creating more werewolves. He does not give a shit. He says, if you want to get rid of your curse, kill yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. Apparently, in this mythology, werewolves can kill themselves by any means, and that will end their life and stop the curse. It's not silver, but silver is an effective weapon against them in this world. Yeah,
and I thought that was, one of the first parallels that I saw in watching this is the whole beginning when Ted is telling Eric to tie him up and and shoot him if he starts to turn, and now it's just like, oh, this is just like Buck and Jack, basically, in the beginning of this issue. So I saw parallels with the actual issue we were talking about today, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. So the whole killing the head werewolf thing, that seems to be something that I've seen more in vampire lore than in werewolf lore, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense to me almost.
It does a little bit. And I guess the thing, so, I mean, it's pretty early. I don't know if we're going to really care about spoilers too much. But, so Ted ends up, turning into the werewolf, and Eric shoots him and kills him. And I thought it was interesting because normally, when someone kills the werewolf, that's the end of the story. But I liked how this one, it brought up the very real point that this isn't like hunting vampires and you kill them and they turn to ash. If you kill a werewolf,
there's a naked dead man.
He turns into a naked dead man. And then you have to deal with that. So if you kill a werewolf, you're most likely going to jail for murder.
Yep.
And that's what happens. He gets arrested for murder.
And so he posts bail to be a free man and to try and find Janos to stop this curse. So this whole setup for this ongoing series is basically that excuse me, that he's on the run from the law. He's wanted for his a hunter who is 1/3 Native American who is called Alamo Joe.
Alamo Joe. I think it was funny. They're like 1/3 Native American on his maternal grandmother's side, which I thought was very specific. But the whole thing is narrated by Alamo Joe.
Yes. So it starts off with this very cool monologue while he is stacking up silver bullets in the foreground, and basically saying once the world that doesn't make sense anymore and becomes a nightmare world, then what do you do, right? There are two types of people. Do you believe in UFOs and people who don't? So if you don't believe in UFOs and the UFO lands in your front yard, how do you react? What does your life become? And so that kind of bookends this pilot. So the pilot is set up now that Eric is on the run. He is chasing after Janos. Janos is aware that he wants to kill him, and he's much older, much smarter, and much more experienced. So we have a newbie and an old salty hand. And now there is a bounty hunter who was looking for Eric to bring him back for his bounty for skipping bail. And now he knows that there's a werewolf, and he is, like I said, he's called Alamo Joe. He's going to want to kill this guy. So he's melted down some silver and made some bullets, and that's the end of the pilot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I thought, there was a lot of similarities just in tone and in scenes as well that were parallel to Werewolf by Night, the comic. So I thought that was smart for the listener that wrote in to say hey, you guys should compare these two, because there's a lot to compare.
Yeah, good call, Mark. For me, there were a couple things. I just noticed I want to mention to you personally, if of interest to you, maybe only. But I love when Eric goes back to his apartment with his friend Ted, and Ted's sitting in the dark, and he's like, "Can I turn the lights on?" He's like, "Don't turn the lights on." And Eric's like, "Oh, the last time you were like this, Cindy so-and-so broke up with you," and he sat in the dark and listened to "I'm a Loser" over and over again for a weekend.
I knew you were going to love that.
Cool Beatles reference out of fucking nowhere.
It was a cool Beatles reference.
So there's that. This, again, I can't express how much this is of its time. So this is bleeding edge. So everything that you think is funny about Miami Vice, because it's wow, their pants and their shirts and the neon, they were trying to be bleeding edge. This is that up, down, all over. So that screaming, sexy blues guitar is through a lot of it. There are fog machines everywhere, going constantly. Anywhere where something could catch light, there's a fog machine. Like an MTV video on fucking bath salts. Like it's bananas amounts of fog. So it's very stylized. And lastly, I wanted to say that in the climax, again, if you want to check this out, then just email us at werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com and I'll hook you up. But in the ending scene there, Janos has the girlfriend, takes her to the shed and starts to transform. There's this like where he mid transforms and seems to be able to control it because he's so aged and experienced. Is fucking horrifying.
It is.
Like his eyes have turned wolf eyes. His mouth, he has like 8,000 rows of teeth, but he's still humanoid. Fucking horrifying. And then when he does decide to transform all the way, he grabs his face like a train robber would grab a bandana and just yanks it off like a piece of latex. And he's a skinless head. And then a wolf snout telescopes out from his fucking face. And then fur grows on it. It's horrifying.
It is. It really is. I was just like, oh my God. Primetime Fox was not fucking around in 1987.
Nope. And all the old people were like, well, this is the end of the world.
Yeah.
This is on TV now. Wait till you see Temptation Island 2, lady.
Yeah. Oh man. No, I really enjoyed it. I'd like to check out more of the series.
Cool. Well, I will drop you a folder of the entire series. Unfortunately, back in the old days, folks, you younger people might not realize this, but we had diarrhea of the episode back in the old days. So this series consists of one pilot and 28 episodes. The good thing is that the pilot being originally 2 hours with ads, the episodes themselves are just like 25 to 28 minutes, I believe, with the ads removed. So much shorter. So it's not that huge of a commitment. So we're going to dig in. I can only imagine that a story like this really loses its way here and there and has some really like this is like, we joke about Scooby-Doo, like, Harvey Korman. Like I feel like there's some really corny cameos or some really just weird bottle episodes where it's like, some kid in a wheelchair. No, that's too Silver Bullet. But some just like where it's like, wow, somebody was really proud of the script.
Yeah.
Or somebody's kid wrote a script. It's like, Daddy, can you make a werewolf show of this one, please? One where he works at a basketball camp.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those are in my future.
No, and I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm all in.
Cool. All right, I'll send you those. And anybody at home, if you want to follow along, let's start a little secret werewolf TV series club. Shoot us an email. We can hook you up.
Love it.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, folks. Join us next week for Giant Size Werewolf by Night #2. And, of course, follow us on Twitter at Werewolf Podcast and on Instagram at Werewolf by Night Podcast, separated by underscores, and the email we mentioned. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week. Till we meet again, meet the full moon, furry ones. Here's howling at you.